Yes! Welcome to City Lights Bookstore. My name is Peter Marabellis. I'm the events coordinator here. Before we start, please turn down your cell phones. I know you want to watch the game. We're ahead. It doesn't matter. Okay, you can enjoy the evening. Check out our website when you get a chance. A lot of really cool stuff happening. We have a blog for Banned Book Week. We actually transformed it to Banned Book Month. We've been videotaping writers reading from banned books. We also have a wonderful banned book section in the back here. Also a lot of other really great stuff happening. We've got a podcast site and a lot of really fantastic events coming up. We've got Chris Kraus tomorrow night celebrating the release of her new book, Summer of Hate from Semiotext. And coming up next week, Carnaval Pataphysique, 4 days of Alfred Jury, a tribute to pataphysics and Alfred Jury. We're going to rebuild his Parisian apartments. There'll be an absinthe lounge, hanging bicycles, time machines, the list goes on. And so check out our website. There's going to be 4 days worth of stuff here, Mechanics Institute Library, San Francisco Art Institute, and all over town. There's going to be a walking tour of North Beach using a map of Paris. Need I say more? Heavy duty auspiciousness tonight. No? Yes? I mean, let's hand it to City Lights and to Michelle T. I cannot think of a better literary marriage, going back to her, early roots, it's doing the spoken word thing, and then of course the beginnings of Sister Spit, and then later Radar, and Michelle has been kind of like a really powerful link in the literary life of San Francisco. So I think, coming out with this anthology and beginning this new Sister Spit imprint, which is going to have it's going to be really incredible. There's going to be new books coming out. 2 coming up from Ali Liebgott very soon in the spring and summer. We're going to have Beth Lissick. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Some really great people. So Michelle's bringing some really good energy to City Lights, and really very honored to have her on board. Very great times coming up for us. So now I'd like to bring her out and have her get this evening started. Please give us a warm welcome, Michelle T.
You guys we're all here together in the center of the known universe, City Lights. This is like so exciting. This is one of my favorite places in the whole world. And I can't believe that, that they're taking this awesome chance on Sister Spit and on kind of like queer feminist literature. And thank you so much. It's amazing. This book came out with so many people work on a book, and everybody here, Elaine Katzenberger and Stacy and Jolene and Peter, who was just talking, and Linda, who did the book cover. Thanks to everybody for making it happen. It's really exciting. And it's basically kind of like a little sampler of Sister Spit, and it includes people who've come since the 90s, when I was doing it with Cindy Anderson, up until people who came last year. And it's kind of a mixture of classic pieces that people did on the road that kind of get, if you're in the van with them, they get kind of stuck in your head and they become like these weird anthems. Those are in there. And there's also new work by those people, so you can see what other stuff they're doing. And there's road diaries, which are really fun, where you get a little bit of a glimpse of the insanity inside the van. So I'm just going to start bringing people up because, oh wait, I guess I'm supposed to read something too, huh? All right, I'll read a little bit from the introduction. God, I was so worried about, concerned with getting the list together, I forgot that I'm part of it. Okay, I'll just read this a little bit. Those days, I was talking about the 90s with Sister Spit. Those days feel far away from the tour I'm on today, because I wrote this while I was on tour. I expect the engine in the van we're driving won't crack and die on the Alabama-Mississippi border at midnight on a Friday night, forcing us to sell it for parts and continue our trek illegally, transporting 8 passengers in a cargo van without seats, which we did. And we had Eileen, there were only 2 actual seats in the van, and one was the driver's seat and then the passenger seat, and only Eileen Miles could sit in the passenger seat because she was going through menopause. She told us that all the time. And she hated the seat that blew the air conditioner on her. And so I couldn't argue with her. You don't know what she was talking about. Probably the starter won't die, requiring me to crawl under the van and whack it with a hammer in order to turn on the van. We call that hammer time. That made me really excited to do that because I don't drive. So I often feel like on on like a Sister Spit tour, especially in the 90s when there's always so much going on with the van, and everybody would be really capable and like fix things. I couldn't ever do shit, but I was like, I can crawl under the van and hit it with a hammer. So I felt like I earned my keep on that tour. I'm willing to bet cash money that our van won't overheat so severely that we can't actually turn it off for fear that it will not turn back on again, circa 1998. No one will have to lead us in group van visualizations of cool snow falling on our overheated engine, or icicles dripping from the vents. If this van we are in right now were to burst into flames, the way some wires did on our 1999 tour, well, I'd be shocked. Our intrepid drivers are not having to keep their foot wrapped in a wet towel in order to withstand the heat of the gas pedal. So like the gas pedal got so hot that we had a cooler full of melted ice and a towel, and then people would wrap it around their foot to drive. Can you imagine? And then it was called the foot towel, but then it's just because it was really hot, we'd always tour in August and people just would start slurring and calling it the foot towel. And then so it just became the foot towel. And then anything that was kind of gross and busted and sad in our lives became the pho anything. So like if we had a bad show, we're like, that was a pho show. Like sometimes the van just was so gross, it was the pho van, or it was like your pho life. And then all of a sudden that product Febreze came out. It's really funny because we're like, we could use that in our van, and it's like a pho. And then I did this brief thing where I actually tried to get Febreze to sponsor Sister Spit, and all I got out of it was some Febreze phone cards, weirdly enough, like calling cards. Febreze on it. So, all right. We are in a rental van, a long black passenger van we rent from a company that rents vans mainly to bands, and who name each of their vans after a female musician. We're driving in Harriet, but we can't figure out who Harriet is named after, so we've been calling her Elvira. When we pull into town tonight, we have a place to stay. Not like in the 1990s when I would shout into the mic at the close of the show, hey, can anyone put us up for the night? Someone always would. Once that someone was a girl who neglected to tell us her home was a very, very small apartment and some housing projects, which was already pretty crammed with ferret cages. Another time, Sister Spit performers fell asleep on a stranger's futon, only to be woken up at 6 in the morning by a couple of skinheads who'd come to repossess the furniture. In Tucson, a performer slept in a clawfoot bathtub. It was the coolest spot in the house. We slept in bunks on women's land in the south, no electricity, chiggers in the grass, and dike-biting pike in the lake we swam in. Hold on, Dorothy Allison, sprawled out barefoot next to me in the van, has started telling a story about the time Sapphire read her poem Wilding, and the violence of the beautiful work drove out half the audience, including Angela Davis. I tried to refocus, but then Cassie J. Snyder twisted around in the front passenger seat and asked me if there had ever been any good drama on any Sister Spit tours. And I was off and running for a good hour, detailing, without ever mentioning a name, the time 2 alcoholic members fell diabolically in love, carved hearts on each other with razors as the sun came up, and got dragged to a morning AA meeting by the tour's 2 sober members. Or the time that our new roadie tried to run away from tour in the middle of the night because the poet she'd kissed in a bar bathroom then kissed someone else in a bar bathroom. The heterosexual performer who had an end-of-tour meltdown screaming, "I need men and meat," after too much time spent among vegetarian and lesbians. The diner brawl, prompted by one tour member whipping a dildo from his pants, and during a circus performer we befriended to fillet it. A rogue Catholic in the back of the room, this was in Boston, was violently offended and started menacing us all, so I jumped into action and hurled a jar of Grey Poupon at his head, sparking rather than quelling a raging fight. Then Dorothy asked if there had ever been any romantic dramas on Sister Spit, and I detailed the hookups and breakups the tour had inspired. 10 breakups had happened on the road, plus 8 hookups, 2 resulting in marriages, and then subsequent divorces. I finally shut up and tried to turn back to the task at hand, writing this, only to be distracted by Brontez Purnell talking about his father in Alabama, freaking out on him for not owning land. How are you going to get beans? You're going to go on some white man's land and they're going to kill you. And Brontez back in Oakland going, I get my beans at the grocery store. I started Sister Spit because I wanted to go on a massive road trip and I don't drive. I started Sister Spit because I had a vision of a group slumber party with all the most interesting people I've met. I started Sister Spit because I was frustrated that all my friends were wild geniuses and the rest of the world didn't seem to know this. And the bonding in the van, the thrill of a new city every night, and the true joy and wonder on our audience's faces as they behold their new favorite performers, and their concept of what is possible in life gets cracked open a little wider, all these things make me keep doing Sister Spit every year. Okay, I just gotta stop there. So a lot of great people.